Let's talk about this with Susan Hall. She's an Conservative Assembly member, and she's also a Conservative candidate to be the next Mayor of London at the elections next year. Good morning to you, Susan Hall.
Good morning, Julia.
Thank you for joining us. There's no doubt at all there's an awful lot of opposition to this. It's certainly been politicised. We saw that Uxbridge by-election, the ULEZ expansion became a key issue. Given so much public opposition to it, and even it would seem among Labour Party MPs as well, and London Assembly members, why do you think is Sadiq Khan going ahead with it?
Well, because he doesn't listen to any of us, does he? It's a very bad day for Londoners today. It really is. And I was listening to your previous caller, Jackie, when she says it's an attack on ordinary working people. She's absolutely right, isn't she? It's nothing but a tax grab.
Well, it is a tax grab. I mean, let's face it, we're looking at an extra £2.5 million a day being made from this, even though we're told so few cars are going to be affected. But the reality is those who would have to pay the fine are people on lowest incomes.
Yes, that's right. And charities, small businesses. We're all going to suffer for that, because if small businesses are charged, they're going to offset their price, of course they are, to the consumers. It's just dreadful. He will not listen to anybody. And of course, if I become mayor in May, I will stop this on day one of the mayoralty.
No, you've opposed the expansion, but you were happy to support Boris Johnson bringing in the ULEZ zone for big, high emission lorries and buses and things back in 2008, but also the expansion, and it has been widening and widening, and we always knew that's what would happen. It wouldn't just be the very city centre. You've supported all the expansions to date. Why is this expansion wrong, but previous expansions have been okay?
Right, the original ULEZ is put in central London, and we all know, Julia, you can literally just walk down the road, get a bus, get a train. Transport facilities in inner London are so different to those in outer London, and therefore you could say, get out of your car, get onto the public transport. You cannot do that in the outer boroughs. We all know that. I live in Harrow. You have to walk quite some way to get a bus. You have to, in effect, drive to get to the station from many, many places. It's a different public transport offer altogether. This is nothing but a tax grab, and it won't make any difference, or very, very little difference, to air quality. Air quality is important, but you can approach it in a different way. And I've got a way of getting £50 million from the budget to look at specific areas where there is a problem.
But we know that air quality is improving in London. It's cleaner today than it was last year, in 10 years, 20 years, cleaner than before the Industrial Revolution. And that's nothing to do with even the current ULEZ zone as it existed until yesterday. That was happening anyway, with vehicle changes and ending, people not having coal fires and the like. Why are so many politicians, including Conservatives, obsessed with telling us what, let's be honest, are lies about how terribly polluting vehicles are, when actually vehicles are less polluting, and that's a good thing, obviously, and our air is actually cleaner than it's ever been?
Well, I can only speak for myself, and I completely agree with you on that.
But you still support the ULEZ zone that existed yesterday?
The ULEZ zone in inner London, if you talk to residents, and the thing is, as politicians, you should be listening to what residents or Londoners are saying. Londoners generally in inner London are quite happy with the ULEZ zone.
They're quite happy for there to be a charge to stop other people driving into the capital city, which, because I know about you, I live outside it, £12.50 certainly puts me off spending that money. But they're quite happy to not have other traffic. That's fine. But we know that does have an impact on people's businesses in terms of customers getting in and people getting about. So, saying that people support other people not being able to cause traffic jams in their street, well, that's a no-brainer. But that's not the point. The point is this has been sold to us as something that was vitally necessary to improve the health of Londoners, because all these people are dying because of pollution. When people aren't dying because of pollution, those figures are completely made up nonsense. And actually, the ULEZ zone has barely contributed to any increase in the quality of the air. That increase had already happened.
Well, I've undertaken to stop the ULEZ expansion on day one of a mayoralty. It's people in outer London that are up in arms. It's people in outer London that cannot afford to replace their cars. This is, as your person that's just phoned in said, it's an attack on ordinary work.
As you've said that. Now, listen, you're running to be the next mayor of the city. The reality is this is a Labour voting city by and large, and that Sadiq Khan is on track, according to the polls, despite the upset over ULEZ, to be the next mayor of London again, so get an historic third term. What does he have to do to lose London?
Well, I think you'll watch, because if you think about it, the Metropolitan Police are under special measures, as are the London Fire Brigade. He's not listening to Londoners at all, or he would not be putting in this extended ULEZ. There are so many things that are not going right with London. You're a Londoner, Julia, you know that. And I refuse to believe it's a Labour city. People want common sense policies, and that's what they'll get with me. With Sadiq Khan, he's just not listening to anybody over anything.
Just finally, what do you say to people who say, oh, God, media and politicians are also London-centric? You're a London Assembly member. We're broadcasting from London. But Glasgow, Oxford, Bristol, Birmingham, our second city in this country, all have these ULEZ zones. We know that Manchester's mayor, Adi Burnham, have been looking at them as well. Many other town cities have them just for lorries, which that's what we started with as well. This is a question of watch and wait and see, isn't it? Because an awful lot of other towns and cities will see the amount of money that can be made from these schemes and copy them themselves. So this isn't just about what happens to Londoners, is it?
I think you've just hit the nail on the head there. It's a money-making scheme, and that's not acceptable. I hear what you say about other places. I'm a Londoner. I'm standing as London mayor. I care about London. And Londoners have said loud and clear they do not want this ULEZ expansion. And that is why, day one, I would stop this.
OK, well, we shall see whether that ever gets to happen, comes to pass. Susan Hall, London Assembly, a member for the Conservatives, also Conservative candidate for Mayor of London, as you've heard a few times there.